Hey again everybody, this is Mr. Peterson again for another Tech Biz tutorial. Uh, one of the videos for the instructional technology series that we're working on for our class. And we've been talking this week about making PowerPoints that don't stink, and some of that had to do with creating a game like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type of game for reviews with students. We also looked at some examples for kinetic typography and how to make little videos that could be used for practice or even just for social media posts for your teaching social media pages and accounts. Today, for this activity, we're going to go over the third type of PowerPoint, which I call a nonlinear PowerPoint. Most of the time, when you have a PowerPoint that you're delivering, or if you're watching it, I'll just click here and I'm going to add a couple new slides. And the PowerPoint is linear in most cases. Here's your first slide, then you click and it goes to the second one, and then you click and it goes to the next one. And they're not very engaging. The user normally doesn't have a choice of what they want to learn about. But what if we were able to make a PowerPoint where the user got to choose how to navigate through this? And for that, I would call this a nonlinear PowerPoint. So I'm going to give you a quick demonstration, real quick, on how to set this up, or one way you can do that. And I'm just going to call this linear PowerPoint. Alright, and then here I'm going to click on this and say go to page 2, and then underneath that I'm going to say go to page 3. Obviously I'm not taking the time to make this look real nice right now because I'm just showing you the concept behind this. Alright, and here I'm going to go to page 2 and I'm going to type at the top just so we have an easy reference. This is page 2, and then here I'm going to say this is page 3. Alright, and then here I'm actually going to go here and I'm going to click here and say go back home. Alright, so these are our 3 pages now. So what I could do here to make a user choose what order they wanted to go through this presentation, and I'm going to set up hyperlinks. Alright, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You just highlight this first line here, alright, and I'm going to right click on it, then go down to hyperlink. A window will then come up and we have some different options in here. What I want to do is I want to select place in this document. Alright, when I click on that, it gives me all these different slides. Since I want this one to go to page 2, I'm going to go here to my little outline and I'm going to select slide 2, and it says the title of the slide there, which is titled This is Page 2. I'll click OK, and then I'm going to do the same process for page 3. Right click on it after highlighting it, go to hyperlink, make sure I have place in this document selected, select This is Page 3 and OK, and we have this first page done. Now on this page, by selecting page 2, I want to have an option to go back to the very first slide. So I'll right click. This is the same thing we just did those other 2 times. Place in this document and select nonlinear PowerPoint. That's the home page slide type thing that we have over there. So I'm going to click OK there, And the reason why I didn't type that into page 3 is because if I want to have a page or a back home link on a lot of my slides, whether it be a picture or text like we have in this example, I can just copy that, alright, using the old Control C, and then go to the page I want to paste it to and Control V, boom, and there we have the back home link. So that way you don't have to keep adding a new back home link. You just, since all those ones are going back to the same place, you can just use the same link and it'll save you a little bit of time. Alright, so here we have our basic presentation. Alright, our home page, which has a link to go to page 2 and a link to page 3, and both of those pages have a link that takes you back home. So I'm going to go up here to slideshow and click from the beginning, and if I move my cursor down here over the text where it says go to page 2, it's going to take me to page 2. And then if I move my cursor over where it says go back home, then I'm back to where I started from. And then I can go to page 3 and I can go back to where I started from. If I wanted to, I could choose whichever page I wanted to start with, you know. Obviously our choices are limited because this is just a brief demonstration, but you can kind of come to an idea of how you could have an elaborate nonlinear PowerPoint that really lets the user be engaged with the content and choose how to explore it. So here are some examples of what you could use with a nonlinear PowerPoint. For a student I had one time that was going to be like a music teacher, she had made a nonlinear PowerPoint of a guitar and had all the parts labeled on the guitar using little text boxes, and so each thing on it had a name and then or a number. You'd click on the number, like let's say, you know, I don't know any of the parts of a guitar to be honest, but you know, if let's say one of the parts was called the neck. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but if the neck of the guitar was labeled number 1 and then you clicked on it, on the 1, it would take you to a slide that said this is the neck, and then it would explain what that is and what its function is, and then you could click and go back home. So that's pretty cool. Students have also done that for like diagrams for different animals, like for a biology or a zoology course, and used nonlinear PowerPoints for that. I did have a student one time that wanted to go into coaching and had a passion for softball, and so she had taken a photograph from one of her softball games that was taken from a higher up perspective, and like there was each position out on the field had a number, and when you clicked on the number it would take you to a slide and it would say this is the pitcher, and then here are some fundamentals to work on with pitchers, and then you could go back home and it would take you back to the softball diamond again, and then you could click on first base, and then it would say, alright, here's the keys to being an effective first baseman. And so I thought that was kind of a clever way to do that. I've also had students create like a choose your own adventure book, which is a pretty cool thing with these as well. So you could go through and you take the person through the story just like those choose your own adventures books, but instead of manually turning the pages, you click on the hyperlinks. And the last example that I think I will give you is for my IT fundamental high school students. We tend to make nonlinear PowerPoints for troubleshooting guides. When we're done with hardware and operating systems, I'll have students that will design kind of like a comprehensive troubleshooting PowerPoint, and so the first thing says, does the computer power on, yes or no? And then if you click no, then it'll say, oh, is your power supply plugged in, and those things. Or if they click yes, the power does turn on, then the next thing it's going to ask you is there a display on the screen or on the monitor, yes or no? And then so they make it, for that one they make a fairly elaborate nonlinear PowerPoint for that, as it somebody could use it as a resource to help them figure out what's wrong with the computer. So nonlinear PowerPoints I think are pretty cool. Obviously it's not something you are really going to present to a group of students. I think it's a better thing where you would share it with them and say, here's the PowerPoint, navigate through this, and then they can kind of use it as a way to review content that you give them, and then they can choose to navigate to an area that they really want to focus on. Maybe they don't need to look at the whole PowerPoint, they just want to look at a few places they struggled with, and this nonlinear PowerPoint would give them that option. Also, you know, it's not a bad activity for the students to create themselves for their own practice purposes. You would just have to do a little bit of reteaching, or pre-teaching I should say, if they haven't had experience with PowerPoint, showing them how to do the hyperlinks and those kind of things, and you know, and it can be an effective practice measure for them to create one as well. So hopefully, you know, this has some, you know, and you can be as creative with it, with the pictures and everything as you can. We've talked about copyright rules and all that in earlier sections of this class, so you could use some of your Pixabay pictures or Unsplash pictures to make your PowerPoint slides look nice and everything. But for this little example here, I just wanted to show you the basics of putting together the hyperlinks and having an option to take them back to the original slide. So hopefully this is useful for you, and you can find a way to use nonlinear PowerPoints in your classroom or with your students. And if you have better ways, feel free to share them in the comments below, because the best things about these education videos is, you know, sharing an idea I think is good, and then I always get good ideas from other people that reply back and share better ideas than what I had. So I look forward to reading those too. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.